are. Avi Lipkin, live from Israel. We've started out the day with a little bit of humor, but we can't share all that humor with you. But if you look at the headlines, it's pretty humorous, or laugh or cry. Um, but we're on a little earlier. We're about to go live, not only on this Facebook page and others, but live on cable and television and Roku. Avi, you didn't know that so regularly you would be live in real time from Israel on TV towers and cable networks and online platforms. But here you are, and we're having a good time. I'm glad to see that you're doing well. Now, right where you are, what time is it right now where you are? 5 o'clock?
Almost 5 p.m., 6 minutes to five.
6 minutes till five. Okay. Well, I'm so happy to see you.
Likewise.
I know that a lot of people are happy to see you, and we continue to share this. We go a little earlier because we translate to the master play system over the TV network, and we want everyone to know what's going on, and we want to be a little bit ahead of the game, because we usually start before it broadcasts over the main play, so to speak, and we continue a little bit after. I'm looking at your Facebook comments if you have some, but Avi, you were right there. Remind the people, I want to do an introduction like I usually do, but remind the people what part of Israel you're in.
Well, very close to Jerusalem. We are exactly as the crow flies, or whatever you want to call it. We are 7 miles to the southeast. So you have to go about 5 miles to Male Adumim, then another 2 miles to our community. And, it's interesting. Jewish people face to the east when they are praying.
Right.
But we are among the only Jews in the world in my community. We face northwest because we see the Mount of Olives and Mount Scopus and French Hill
Wow.
as we look to the northwest. There are really, if you look at the globe, there are no other communities like ours. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And that's I'm sure there's stories behind that too.
Also, when you drive, you've got to be careful not to hit the camels. We've got camels and donkeys and desert foxes, all kinds of animals running around. It's desert, so it's like, even though we're just to the east of Jerusalem, we have all kinds of wild critters running around. In our gardens, we have snakes and scorpions, and we have all these stray cats, which we feed because their dessert is scorpion and snake, and they eat everything. Nothing escapes from these cats.
Well, we have stray cats over here. They're a band, and no, I was about to say, we have donkeys over here, mostly in the White House, but that's neither here nor there. And
I suppose you would say it's better to have elephants in the White House.
well, I'd actually rather have lions, but I don't know if that's a dream or not, or a far cry.
Right.
It seems these days the donkeys and the elephants share the same level of effectiveness. I don't know. I don't know. May 27th, this treasonous administration wants to give sovereignty to the World Health Organization, and people aren't even caring about that. They're going to care though. They see Chinese troops rolling down their streets and all the imported illegal fighting men mandating vaccines in camps. And I hope it doesn't come to that. But I was having a discussion this morning with a minister, and I just said, the new Communist Party, I don't know that they'll allow themselves to be voted out. They may have to just be removed. And I know those are strong words, but hey, I'm a strong man, and we have strong people in America that we remember what life was like before the new Communist Party, and we're just not going to bow the knee. And so, take it for what you will, but but we're about to start, and I'm always excited to see your face, Avi, and folks. We're glad that those of you who watch that you join us, and we'll repeat some information. But here we go right now, in just a matter of seconds. We're about to go live on the master play, and here we are. It's live from Israel with Avi Lipkin. Of course, we says, "As goes Israel, so goes the world." That famous saying, and it's so true. But Avi, you're looking well today. Tell me how you are, my man.
Oh, very, very good. Every day that I wake up and I'm alive and my wife hasn't killed me, it's perfect. 55 years of marital bliss.
Hey, now that's what you say. I'm sure she'd say the same, huh?
You
55 years
know,
of.
when I do a show with you or any show, she says, "How was the show?" Okay, go do the dishes. She doesn't wait for the answer.
She kind of keeps your feet on the ground.
And she says, "What did you say on the show?" And I start to tell her what I said on the show. And she says, "Well, you didn't say this and you didn't say that and you forgot to
uh
say." So I've got a good coach. Let me tell you, she keeps me on my toes.
Well, maybe we just need to have her on the show sometime too.
I'm trying to get her to come upstairs to my office
You
here
know?
and on live screen. And says, "Ah, no, that's for you. That's for you." Until she starts asking me questions, and then she takes. Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, amongst the laughs and the smiles, and everyone wants to communicate while we're doing this live, and that's just fine. People are always wanting to know how you're doing. Um, there is a war, folks, you know, and it's more important than the Obama Flicks special, of the week. We really have to be reminded of the realities of this. Avi, do you think that maybe that perhaps people have gone into such a deep chasm of escape and entertainment that they just really don't understand the realities of atrocities in real life, because to them it's like a movie. They hear about it and that's it. They don't really see the realities unless they're up close and personal. I mean, surely the majority of Americans would vote differently, or vote more, or vote at all, if they had to always be prepared to run to a bomb shelter anytime they hear sirens, because Mexico is shooting yet more jihadi rockets. I mean, is that what it's going to take for Americans to understand the reality and the severity of war and a daily threat from a death cult?
Well, I think the problem is not rockets coming in from Mexico. And I'm going to say something which will make you very angry, but I love the Mexicans and I love the
I love them
Latinos,
too.
and they're great people. The problem is the Muslims, and the Muslims are already inside the United States.
Right.
Though there are many more Muslims coming across the border illegally, and that's one of the primary problems of the lack of government on the border there. Also, the communist Chinese are sending in a lot of their commandos into the U.S. illegally.
Right.
There's a lot of cooperation between the enemies of America, and they're coming across the border illegally. I would say that Americans are treated kind of like chickens in a chicken coop. A chicken in a chicken coop is not supposed to know anything. Chicken in a chicken coop is just there to make eggs. And so the people are like chickens in the chicken coop. They're given their feed, they produce their eggs, and that's all they need to know. They don't need to know anymore. That's the way. That's my experience from what I see with the American people. And the Americans are fed very well in their chicken coops. But when the day comes for the ultimate disaster, nobody has a clue except for those who are watching this TV station, or certain Christian TV stations. And like I said before, people are coming across the border, illegal people, people with sinister intentions. And as you said, what happens to Israel happens to America. We've had this problem of infiltration for decades already. And now America is having a problem with infiltration, with the top gatekeepers in America bribed by the Islamic economy. And I've been speaking in churches now for 35 years, and I would say virtually no Jews want to hear anything I have to say, even though I'm a Jew from Israel. Most Christians also don't want to know anything. Life is too good in America. And that is until the major disaster happens. And then, why weren't we warned? And unfortunately, people like me are ushered out. We're not allowed to talk. I'm not very popular in churches. I'm not popular at all in Jewish synagogues. And it's only the remnant, primarily Christians, who listen to what I'm saying.
Do you find that those who demonstrate concentrated concern and affections for Israel to be older, or is it a how would you differentiate that? I mean, in my mind, I would assume those of us who remember certain events in the world, those of us who are not sheep, and we have some education, some type of education and memory of history, seem to be more concerned with where things are going and where things should be. Do you find that your fans, so to speak, and followers are primarily boomers, nexters, or is it all over the board? What how would you tag the average Israeli lover among the American churches?
Well, obviously, the older people have a tendency to be more pro-Israel. The problem today is the end process of 30, 40 years of Islamic indoctrination. And you could also say communist indoctrination or globalist indoctrination. They're pretty much one and the same. Money talks. And the billions of dollars that have been spent on US campuses over the last 30, 40 years. And I've been documenting this. I've been talking about this. And it's like people who listen to me, their eyes glaze over. It's like a deer on the highway. Their eyes glaze over. Then when the trouble starts, they say, duh, isn't that what we were told? Yes, that's what we were told. But the young people have been professionally dumbed down by the globalist so-called educational elites who are pro Moscow, pro China, pro
Yeah.
Islam, and so the younger people are really lost. The older people are in, I think, much better educational situation, but they are very intimidated by the millions and millions and millions of college students who don't really know anything. And many. I have my best friend from childhood days is a lawyer, a very important lawyer in Pennsylvania, and he wanted to set me up to speak in his university in Pennsylvania. And now I'm saying to him, you see, you can't even get me to speak in a university because I'll be shouted down or I might be killed. And I'm a very famous person in a negative way. I'm very notorious. And so, you know what? I stick with my small Christian churches, churches of 10, 20, 50 people, cowboy churches. We spoke about this yesterday with Heather. So I've got a certain crowd, not a lot of people. Let's call it just a remnant.
Well, the remnant needs to expand, and Americans need to wake up. You have Confucius centers directly funded by the CCP in our universities. For a long time, you've had Islamic clubs, and several of their presidents have been like the shoe bomb bomber, the shoe bomber. He was a president of his Islamic society in his university, and it's not a coincidence, folks. Yes, we've been infiltrated. Our media, our leadership is obviously owned by China and others, and of course you have entities, very dark entities like Vanguard and BlackRock, who have pledged to enforce forced behaviors with their companies to go woke. No matter how many billions they lose, they'll be well funded and they'll be okay because Vanguard and BlackRock will. I guess the question is, who's running BlackRock? Who's running Vanguard? Is it Lucifer himself? Klaus Schwab, the Nazi over the World Health Organization, unelected, the World Economic Forum, and again, May 27th, this treasonous administration wants to pass powers onto the World Health Organization and bypass the Senate. But you don't hear about it on mainstream media because they own the media, except for GLC. That's why, hey, if you support freedom, folks, you believe in freedom of speech, you need to support people like Avi, and you need to support GLC. You can go to glc.us.com, put your money where your mouth is. That $39 you're going to blow on junk food a day will be gone tomorrow. But a seed and a support that is tax deductible, it's worth your while, isn't it? Who would have thought you could tax deduct protecting your freedom of speech? And so, and then of course, Avi, biblicalalliance.com, the founder of the Bible Block Party. You've made history bringing Jews and Muslims and the small percentage of Messianics together, in a party. Who's ever heard of that? That's amazing that you could even do that. But they have a common goal over there, and it's called survival. Their survival is threatened. But the same cancer that plagues humanity all over the world is socialism, liberalism, leftism. And that is a cancer that I don't know can be voted out. It needs to be just like cancer. Sometimes you can pray it out, but you got to cut it out. And these are perilous times. Again, I am very surprised, pleasantly surprised that Netanyahu is still in leadership. He's seen these bozo presidents come and go. All but one are related. Did you know that, folks? Trump's the only one that's not related to the others. Bet you didn't know that. He's also the only one whose ancestors did not own slaves. Even Obama's did. But we escape into TikTok land, and it's interesting. What are your views on TikTok? That's seems to be a staged threat, or perhaps a valid threat to this administration. Seems people are getting their news either from TikTok or brave voices like GLC. What is your take on TikTok? Are you familiar with it?
Well, of course, I'm familiar with it. I've been offered like every day to have a membership in TikTok, and
I figured.
I just keep saying no, 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 because it doesn't interest me. I get most of my news from, there are news sources here in Israel, Zionist news sources, and they tell you exactly what every Jew and every Christian needs to know about what's happening on the ground, boots on the
Good.
ground, things are happening every day. Like, I don't know if you got this in your news today, but Israel took out 100 targets in Gaza. Now,
Good.
Rafah is a very small area. So how could it be that the Israeli military took out 100 targets? Because it just shows what we saw over the last 7 months, that all of Gaza has been dug up, and there are tunnels and there are rocket launching pads. Everything is set up for war. So Israel finally, contrary to Biden, Israel decided to go in to Rafah and finish the job. We're working to finish the job. So now Lebanon is shooting missiles. I mean, they've been shooting missiles at us since day 2 of the war, in solidarity with Gaza. So now we are attacking dozens of Hezbollah targets every day. So now Biden wants to stop sending us armaments so that we run out of armaments, so that we will basically not be able to fight. I will say one thing to President Biden, and I don't mean it figuratively. If we have to fight the Islamic terrorists with sticks and stones by ourselves, we will do that also. But I can also promise you that we will win, and secondly, Biden will lose.
You will win. What was that last part?
I'm saying Israel will win the war against Gaza. Israel will win the war against Lebanon and against Iran, and Biden will lose the elections because American people are not stupid.
I hope you're right. because 34 million evangelicals didn't vote last year. And knowing what we know now, you'd have to be as dumb as a rock to vote for Biden, but there's plenty of them. They get paid very well to vote for a living, you know, 300-pound oppressed people. And, I don't know. I don't know. I think sometimes you have more faith than I do in our culture. But I can tell you this, I have long since believed that Israel has the capability to take out all of their enemies in a day. And I'm amazed that our country is still here. And I'm amazed that some people still support the Communist Party that is in control, and my goodness. So that's why it's important, folks, that you need to take action. Last night, Avi, I interviewed the Amarillo mayor, Cole Stanley. He loves Israel. He loves America. And he's a West Texan panhandle, cowboy spirited entrepreneur and a leader. And, he can tell you that there's problems in both areas. And when it comes to greed, but my gosh, the days of the Kennedy Democrats are so over. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. My goodness. Those who come here legally, they know and appreciate our rights more than the average citizen does. They have to take a test on the Constitution. And over here in our Marxist public schools, we're being taught about men having babies and how important it is to be gender fluid, and children who, if they were in leadership would choose things like free ice cream for everyone. Yet we're trying to chemically castrate them and emasculate Americans according to the Communist Manifesto. The Communist Manifesto, and folks, you can Google that. You'll see it all happening except for disarming the people. But who always is concerned about disarming the people, and the convenient school shootings in areas during an election year. What a mess. But one thing is for certain: countries come, countries go. Buffoon leaders come, buffoon leaders go. But what remains the same is Israel and the God of Israel. And I don't ask you to confirm my belief, Avi, but I just believe that Israel has the capability. It is because of Israel's restraint that the nations are here. Maybe I'm wrong.
We have this war with Gaza, a war we did not start. It is a Pearl Harbor war in which they attacked us on October the 7th, and killed 1,200 innocent young kids who just went to a happy party. Maybe it was a pot party. I don't care what kind of a party it was. People were just trying to have a good time. And they were massacred. They were slaughtered. They were chopped up into pieces. Women were raped. Babies were cooked in ovens. All this is documented. We did not start this war. We did not want this war. We were very happy to continue to be misled by Hamas. Oh, we want the money to develop our economy. We want the money for the good of our people. And Netanyahu was a victim of this being sucked in by Islamic propaganda. And you know what? All our top generals were sucked in. They didn't understand the nature of the beast. And, Satan, what do we know about Satan? It is the greatest of all the deceivers. The greatest of all the deceivers. We were deceived by the greatest of all the deceivers and attacked. But the great power of God allowed us to immediately turn the tide of war against Hamas. And I said this on your show a few times in the last few weeks. We never wanted to go back into Gaza again. Our former Prime Minister, Ariel Sharon, said, here are the keys. We're pulling all our Jewish settlements out. And, just do your lives and leave us alone. And Hamas made us go back into Gaza again. I don't know what President Biden is thinking, but I have no doubt that we're going to have to annex Gaza.
He's
God is
not
saying
thinking.
God is saying to us, I don't care what you guys want. I don't care what Israel wants. I don't care what the Christians want. You, Israelis, Jews, and Christians, are going to take Gaza and never relinquish it again. So then you have Hezbollah in Lebanon, South Lebanon. We were 4 times in South Lebanon, and each time the United States made us hand it back. And each time we handed back, the terror came back with them. And so now God is saying, hey, if you ever read the Bible, you know that our borders are from Lebanon to Saudi Arabia. Now, so we're going to go back and we're going to annex South Lebanon. I don't know what Biden is thinking, but God is laughing his head off at Biden. Now we have another problem. Oh, okay. You ever hear of the Saudi American Peace Initiative? The Saudi American Strategic Alliance?
Yeah.
Well, did you know that yesterday there was a massive attack on a convoy of Mohammed bin Salman's family? Mohammed bin Salman is the regent. He is the next in line to rule the kingdom. And he was almost assassinated. Dozens of his guys were assassinated by ISIS terrorists. What have I been saying on your show for many, many months now? I think we've been doing shows for 2 years already.
Yes.
ISIS
Well, you've said that ISIS, their aim is to kill the royal family and to take over Saudi Arabia
and kill the royal family in Jordan, take
mm-hmm.
over Jordan, and then attack Israel from the east. So you tell me, is President Biden going to say, oh, Israel must show restraint? What restraint? And in other words, our borders are going to expand. And you know what my worst enemy is? Believe it or not, the Jewish mother. The Jewish mother wants her kids home, close to mom and dad for the Shabbat dinner. You know, Saturday we have the Shabbat dinner. And no Jewish mother wants her kids in Saudi Arabia. No Jewish mother wants their kids in Lebanon or Syria or Jordan or Egypt. And Egypt, you know, has been a very important factor in this war. Gaza could not have had a war with Israel without Egypt's support. And one of the things they're so afraid about is that Israel is going to discover all the tunnels under the border between Gaza and Egypt. So the terrorism, the weapons of terrorism were being smuggled in from Egypt into Gaza. So God is not asking us for our permission. God is forcing us to do what any normal country has to do to defend itself. And you know what? I sleep very well at night. My wife does not sleep very well because she's afraid for our children and grandchildren. But, you know, Abraham was commanded to sacrifice Isaac. He was ready to. And then God came in the last moment and provided a ram. And so he didn't kill Isaac. But we've been sacrificing a lot of our boys. And the United States is fighting us. The United States is supporting Hamas. United States is supporting Hezbollah. The United States is supporting Iran. And Biden is saying to Israel, don't attack the oil of Iran because China has to get its oil.
Well, that actor is no more the president than the man on the moon. It's Obama and his goons, his handlers. It is what it is, folks. And hey, it didn't start with Obama. Bush Sr. pretty much adopted Obama. Okay, that's why you always see them give each other candy and, you know, before he died. And they're very close, you know, because Obama's father was mysteriously killed, but he handled the assassinations for the 3-letter agency in Indonesia. And so it goes even back even further than that, all the way to Nixon. Even before that, folks, it's been going on for a long time. You're just now finding out about it. What are you going to do about it? You going to trust these same people who are trying to depopulate you with this gender garbage? And, you know, I just read that the major billionaire family now bankrolling these DNC sponsored coordinated protests is the Pritzker family, giving hundreds of thousands to Democrats for the election cycle. You know, birds of a feather sludged together. And again, you know, it's very interesting what is happening. and we need to be aware. Someone famous once said, "You need to be innocent as doves and shrewd as serpents." And here we are. War is happening right now, and the American people. What a great analogy! Chickens in a chicken coop. Just keep them laying those chickens. Keep feeding them, hoping they won't get outside too much and realize what the situation is, that they are literally exploited and imprisoned and laughed at. But the nations are laughing at our quote unquote president. Nobody overseas I've ever met has ever believed this was a legitimate election. It's not Trumpers that just say that, it's everybody. And I've had people from Australia say, hey, don't let them do to you what they've done to us. We're just getting our popcorn and waiting for the show until you finally had enough. I'm amazed some of these measures have been attempted while Americans are still armed. But maybe the lack of response thus far gives the powers that be, a blank check. Perhaps they fear no consequence now because the hens are too busy laying eggs and holding their iPhones. Who knows? But I believe that the word of God is true. The Bible is true. God laughs at the nations. He has a plan. And why do they rage? Well, because they hate God and they want to hurt God. The only way they can hurt God is to try to hurt his children. And the apple of his eye, God's object of affection. And so, folks, if you're still watching by now, you must be in agreement. Otherwise, you would have turned the channel to the next liberal show or the next leftist indoctrination presentation or the next motivational Christian show that dares not talk about Israel because they are owned by money. But we're not. Nobody owns us but God. And we're encouraging you to stand with Israel and to stand with Avi Lipkin. And I don't know, Avi. Maybe I'm just out of my mind, but I don't know anyone else on TV who's talking like this on this end of the pond. But I'll do it because I got nothing to lose. I don't have a ministry. I don't have a reputation to protect. I'm a servant. I don't get paid to do this. I don't need your money. I don't want your money. But people like Avi, they need finances to operate what they're doing, to continue to publish the books, the vital information that the world needs to know. And I'm just grateful that Avi joins us every week. In this case, it's been twice this week, Avi.
Hey, man. And if Heather asks for me tomorrow, I'll say yes.
Aha! Well, I will tell Heather that. And she loves you and she loves Israel. I was encouraged a little bit. The cowboy church doesn't have a problem with gender and identity issues. The men are men, the women are women. They're proud of it. And if you believe in anything that was said about Smith Wigglesworth, prophesying the next great move will be through the heart of the cowboy, then you will be encouraged too. It doesn't matter where I've gone, whether it's Egypt, whether it's Jerusalem. I haven't been to Jerusalem yet, but whether it's Germany, I meant to say, they want to be cowboys all over the world. Why? Because the cowboy symbolizes strength and symbolizes justice, as a friend would say, Kyle Hooper. And I haven't got to see his face in quite a while. But up in West Texas, as you well know, the Cowboys are cowboys, and they're proud of it. And so, anyhow, folks, we got to stand up. We got to use our voice, and you can do more than that. Last night, Mayor Cole Stanley said the most powerful individual is the citizen. We thought it was elected officials. Nope. You got to make everybody happy. You got to walk on eggshells. You can't say this. You can't talk to this. Citizens can. Use your citizenry. Call your local representative. Make sure they know that you're watching them. They consider one phone call to be 1,000. Did you know that? Run for local office. Run for your school boards. Be a part of those people that say, no, we're not going to allow anti-Israel demonstrations on our campus. We're not going to support Hamas and other terrorist organizations like this joke of an administration does, because they're paid to. But stand up, be the lions. And Avi, as we continue to wind down from this update, though, you mentioned some reliable news sources that people can go to that talk about what's really happening there in Israel. What are some of those sources?
Well, of course, the jpost.com, Jerusalem Post, is how shall I say, the doyen of the English language news media coming out of Israel. But there are many, many others. Israel National TV, Israel. You know what? I can give you a list. If people write to me at biblicalalliance.com, I will give them. I will type in a list so that they will know what, or I can even send them the email so they can see for themselves. And then after they see the emails, if they like them, they can join those emails. But there are, I would say, I have about 10 emails every day that I receive that give me all the information that I need to know. And of course, in America, you really don't get any of this, so you have to look for the underground sources. And also, I have to tell all of you, and you know this already. On Tuesdays, I have maybe I shouldn't say it, but I have a Zoom teaching every Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. Out of Fort Worth, and on Thursdays I have it at 8 a.m. out of Hempstead, Texas. Uh,
Wow.
all Christian people, and it's open. You know, people can come in and ask questions. I just hope I didn't open the portal to devil, that people will call in and start destroying the. You know, if people want the links that they need to introduce themselves, let me check them out. They're okay. But I give a weekly update twice a week in two different towns in Texas. I mean, it's international. I got people from Greece, people from Malta, people from England, Ireland, Faroe Islands, and of course many places in the U.S. Even New York. That's another country. You know,
Wow.
I have good Christians from New York who join in also.
Wow. Well, we need to talk more about that. So until next time, folks, thank you for joining us live from Israel with Avi. As goes Israel, so goes the world. And I'm Brent Fricker. An honor to be with you. And Avi, we love you. Hang on, Avi. And folks, we'll see you next time. Shalom. And Avi says,
Shalom, y'all.